Hi guys, welcome back. This is our episode 6 of the House Divided Sports podcast. We have a loaded show today with some great topics headed into the weekend's games. Let's start us off with probably the biggest game of the weekend. We got Tennessee versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Let's break that down. What do you think?
I I would say if it's neutral field, I would say it's a toss-up, but I think I think they're favored by 9 points around there. I think Georgia is going to bounce back, and I haven't really been impressed with either team offensively, defensively. Obviously, they're very talented teams. They can create a lot of turnovers. They can stop whatever the other offense got going. But I think Georgia gets a little going on offense, nothing crazy, but I think they at the end can put up more points than that Tennessee offense against that Georgia defense.
Yeah, I mean, not to we're not gonna. I think you said 9. I think it's closer to 11 when I was doing my research. The line's at right now. I got Georgia as well. I'm not sure about the covering. I think the game will be a little closer than that, as a lot of Georgia's games have been. But I do think they pull it out again, even if they're in Tennessee, since they are.
I think also it'll be interesting to see Nico against an actual.
And
I mean,
actually,
he started off really good, but he's kind of fallen off. But I want to see Nico against one of the best defenses in the country. I think that'll be good to see for the future for Tennessee too.
yeah, I agree with that. Nico's definitely the most interesting part to Tennessee. I think if he plays like he did week 1, week 2, week 3 early on, Tennessee's got a lot more of a chance than if he plays like he's played recently.
And something I'm also interested if Georgia pulls it out like we think we are, like how the rankings are going to look, because there's a lot of head-to-head going on and a lot of things that have to happen. And I wasn't really that happy with the rankings this week. I don't want to get into it, but there was a lot of inconsistency, a lot of no strength of schedule mattering or whatever. But I think it'll be interesting to see how they rank those SEC teams in the top 12 if Georgia does indeed beat Tennessee.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely involve Tennessee falling out of the playoff spots and Georgia launching itself back up. I don't think it would launch them up as far as we'd think, because I don't think they could go above an Ole Miss or an Alabama, so they'd probably just fall right to above the border.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting how as the season winds down, how they rank these SEC teams, because these Big Ten teams, basically, except Indiana and Ohio State, there's no big games left, to be honest.
Yeah, no big games till the championship in Big Ten. So they're going to Oregon and Penn State will keep their spots up high. And just look at the top 5. Obviously, one of Oregon, or not Oregon, Ohio State and Indiana has to lose. But I'd say after that, the team next closest to losing is Texas. They actually have a game to play last week, so we'll see what's there. Moving on, speaking of the Longhorns, we get a classic rivalry renewed this weekend. It's not exactly the game that we would have seen had we been born 60 years earlier and we'd be watching it then. But Arkansas, can they shock the world this weekend?
No. I think you guys got lucky that it wasn't a night game in Fayetteville. I think that would be a whole different story. But we saw Ole Miss come in there and Jackson Dart throw 520 yards and 6 touchdowns. And I think, obviously not to that extent, but I think Quinn will find his receivers easily. Arkansas has a tough run defense. So you guys probably get some yards here and there, but I think you guys will kill them through the air. And obviously the crowd's going to be amped up, even though it's still at 11 a.m. game. But we saw what Ole Miss did to them a couple weeks ago, and I think it'll be more of the same. And I think y'all's defense all around, even though I think their D-line might be better, all around y'all's defense is better. So I think you guys can handle them easily. I don't know about covering that spread. Maybe you guys could end up covering that spread, but I think you guys handle them kind of easily.
Yeah, I agree. I think our biggest asset is our speed, and I think that'll make a difference in every game, and I think it's what's going to help us dominate this weekend. I don't think it'll be particularly close again. I think we are flirting with that line of 28, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Do you think you guys cover this weekend?
I think we're right on that line. I think we either beat them by like 27, 24, somewhere around. I see like plus or minus 4, give or take, around that line. Like yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very interesting situation. I feel like that's really common with big line games. And UT hasn't been the best this year regarding that. So it'll be interesting. I think the win is guaranteed. I don't know about the spread. So
yeah. No, I was just curious. Speaking of large spreads, Colorado has a large spread against Utah at home.
Yeah.
It's around 10 or 11. Can the Buffs keep it going against Utah at home?
Yes, I think they do. I think their path to the Big 12 championship is cemented, in my opinion. All they have to do is not screw up the easy schedule they have left, and the way they're playing, they're not going to.
I agree. I picked against them last week. Obviously, wasn't the smartest thing to do, but yeah, I don't think they have any trouble here with Utah. I think Utah has obviously fallen off every year since the last couple of years, and it just keeps getting worse. But I think it could be an interesting game, but I think Colorado could pull it out. But yeah, like you said, like if they should take care of business the rest of the way and hopefully make the playoffs. I think that would be good to watch those two talented players play for something meaningful in the Big 12 championship, but as well, hopefully in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Utah showed more this week than they had in the loss than they had in a couple of weeks, but I still don't think that's going to be enough to do it against the Buffaloes, who have shown a lot more. Plus, Shador, Travis Hunter. I mean, there's not much to say after that.
What I would say about Utah, obviously, like they kind of look good against BYU, but I just don't think BYU is that great to begin with, to be honest. That's why I have Colorado beating them in the championship.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll see what happens when that comes to play, because both teams have schedules that they should win out. So I'd say that might be the safest pick of a guaranteed conference championship to make right now.
Yeah, unless someone slips up and chokes. And I saw today, like even like if one of them does slip up, West Virginia could sneak in there and with a 2-loss in the conferences with a 5-4 record, and if they win the championship, they're in the playoffs, which I think is crazy. But
well, here's the thing with BYU would have to slip up twice, so I think they're guaranteed, and I think Colorado is playing with more momentum and an easier schedule. So
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see about that. But since we've been talking about upsets, let's talk about the guys who've been the king of upsets this year. This week, they're heavy favorites, though. South Carolina, can they do it again?
Simple, yes. I don't really think it's an upset. Like you said, they're favorites. Missouri has gone killed in every ranked road game they've had by A&M, by Bama. This offense just it's non-existent. They're trying to get the ball to Luther Burden, but he's not really getting it. And it's just, obviously, with Brady Cook being out, it hasn't been the best thing for them. But I think South Carolina, Missouri struggled against Oklahoma this past weekend at home. And I think Oklahoma is very, very bad. They're the new Vandy, as people were saying. But I think South Carolina handles this with ease. Technically, it's an upset because I think they're ranked behind them in not the CFP, the AP poll, but yeah, I think South Carolina handles it easily, to be honest. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. They're ranked higher. They're favorites. They've got better wins. They've got a better offense. They've got a better defense. I like South Carolina to win like they did against A&M. Yeah.
I think another interesting matchup down the line will be South Carolina versus Clemson. That last game of the season, I think that's a big game for Clemson as well. But I think it'll be
for ACC championship implications right there.
Yeah. Speaking about lack of quarterbacks for Missouri, let's talk about some teams that do have great quarterbacks. Let's talk about our top 5 QBs right now we would have in college football.
Yeah. I went about this two different ways that there are to looking at college football quarterbacks. Obviously, the main aspect of who's the best as a college quarterback and who's best right now. And my other rankings are like a draft board for the NFL draft in April and my big board for that. For my top college only quarterbacks, I've got Cam Ward 1, Shador Sanders 2. They're the same 1 and 2 in my big board. I got Dylan Gabriel 3, I got Ewers 4, and I got Jackson Dart 5. Jackson Dart and Quinn Ewers both showed out this week in really good performances. That's a couple stacked by Dart now in a row. Great performances from him. Ewers showed the same thing early in the year. Great performances, then struggled for a bit after the injury, and then cemented it after this bye week. He got healthy again. I don't know what it was, but he was really good. And Dylan Gabriel is the all-time passing touchdowns leader, and he's leading the best team in the country right now, and he has to be up there. Then for my big board, like I said, I got Ward and Sanders 1 and 2. I got Ewers 3 after that great showing. Nussmeier a week ago, I had him at my 3. I know we didn't talk about it on the show, but I think he has all the traits that it takes to be a good NFL quarterback, and I think that's going to vault him high up draft boards for teams to come April. I knocked him down to 4 after a negative performance this week, and at number 5, I have the guy he was playing this week, Jalen Milroe. Great rushing performance. We've seen some very good passing performances from this team this year, but I still want to see more polish before I move him further up on my draft board.
I'm glad you addressed the switch and the downfall of Garrett Nussmeier, because I was last weekend. You said that Garrett was ahead of Quinn, but glad you saw that game and realized
he had I went as far as considering bumping both Milroe and Ewers above him. It came to, I think both Nussmeier and Milroe are very raw players, and I just think Nussmeier's skill set will translate easier and better to the league.
That's fair. And I just did my top 5 quarterbacks right now in college, not like how it transcend into the NFL, but I have Cam Ward, obviously, single-handedly won games for Miami, putting up crazy numbers, and just the way he stands in the pocket and delivers the ball on target is pretty impressive. I got Dylan Gabriel 2, obviously leading that number 1 team in the country. His running ability, his passing ability, and I saw this last weekend he broke the record for most touchdowns responsible for this all time. So obviously he's got a great college career, and he's a great college quarterback now. Even 3. I got Shador Sanders. Not a lot of explanation. He's special. I think he's going to be really special when he gets to the league. 4, I got Quinn Ewers. Hopefully he can stay healthy, because injuries have been a problem for him in the past and now. But the way he stands in the pocket and his accuracy is really good. And his decision-making most of the time is good. He has a bad throw here and there. And then 5th, I got Milroe. He's an improved passer from what we saw 2 years ago, but his running ability is special, and combined with his improved passing, he's a really good quarterback for the Tide. But yeah, that's my top 5. Kind of similar to yours, just some things flip-flopped here and there, but I think a lot of people could argue with this list.
There's a lot of you gotta sneak in there.
Yeah, maybe so they would have someone else at 5, which I'll hear like Rourke and some of those guys.
Yeah. The way he's been playing the last couple of weeks, Will Howard could sneak up there, and I wouldn't argue it.
Yeah. But anyway, enough of college football. Let's move on to the National Football League, where these guys hope to play someday. Big game, the Battle of Texas. This is the great game we all were waiting for. The Cowboys versus the Texans in AT&T Stadium, where the Cowboys can't see the ball.
It's a game though, so maybe the moon
somehow we'll find someone else to blame. Yeah, Jerry probably didn't account for the moonlighting. I don't know.
Battle of Texas. not quite the Battle of Texas we'll be getting in late November in college football. Not quite the Battle of Texas we were expecting to get this Sunday either. But it's a battle, technically speaking. Houston has looked worse than they have. C.J. Stroud has regressed from last year. Nico Collins has been hurt. The offensive line has been hurt. That I understand. And even with all that, I'm still taking the Texans to win because Dallas Cowboys look they look New York Giants bad. They look Carolina Panthers bad last week with Rush and Lance. That was a disaster. This is going to be ugly football. The defenses are going to look elite, even if they're not playing at that level. We'll see what happens. I look at this as a get-right game for Houston, not really a battle.
Yeah. This is the game we need the most. Hear me out. I don't care if we lose out. This is our Super Bowl for me personally this year. I'm tired of all my friends here at A&M, all these Texans fans. They care more about a Cowboys loss than a Texans win, and it's annoying. All they do all day is chirp in the chat about something the Cowboys do. Just get a life, dude. Care about your own team. Like, I don't know why you care about the Cowboys so much. So if we beat them, we can just shut them up for at least a year. Even if we end up with 4 wins, we can be like, we still killed y'all or beat y'all. So this is my Super Bowl.
That's why I can't talk trash to you about it. Like, we could make it to the playoffs. We could have only lost like 2 or 3 games this year. I mean, some people are saying we're Super Bowl contenders. I'm not sure I'm there with the Steelers yet. But let's say they win it. You still got that, yeah, but we beat you.
Yeah, exactly. This is my Super Bowl. We have nothing else to play for. This is for pride for me. And I think some of those Cowboys might suit up with us on their helmet and say, this is our state, and perform. Hopefully Trey Lance has a legacy game. He needs it. He finds CD a couple times. But, yeah, honestly, I don't think we'll win, but I just want to say this means a lot to me this weekend, and I hope we win because I just want to rub it in people's faces.
Important question. Trey Lance, over, under, 5 turnovers.
Under. Don't worry. I don't think we'll give him that many throws, to be honest. I think if he throws 2, he will get benched.
There's a very good chance of that, yes.
Yeah, but especially if the game's close, which if he throws 2 picks, I don't think it'll be close. Especially with how Joe Mixon's been running the ball against our poor rush defense. I think if we can limit Joe Mixon, that would be really the key. But obviously, that's not easy to do. He's been running it all over everyone. But speaking of running, we got a running quarterback. Can Josh Allen get the regular season win again against Patrick Mahomes? He can't seem to get it done in the playoffs, but in the regular season, Josh Allen seems to own Patrick Mahomes.
I want to say yes, he can, but I don't think I'm going to. Not the way this Kansas City team has been playing all year. They could probably be down the entire game, and then Josh Allen's going to be in there, and they're going to be running the game out. James Cook is going to have some miraculous fumble. George Karlaftis is going to grab it up, take it down to like the 20 with 2 seconds left, and Butker's going to win them the game. Something like that's going to happen. I do think it'll be very close. Like I said, I want to say yes, they can. I like the Bills are a really good team. I think they're both top 4 teams in the NFL right now. They're both teams with Super Bowl aspirations this year. They're both teams with Super Bowl expectations this year. And Josh Allen has gotten it done in the regular season. I think this game's 50-50 right now, and I'm not going to bet against Mahomes, so I'd go with Kansas right now.
I think the difference in this Chiefs team, obviously the Chiefs have had great defense in the past, but this defense is elite, top 3 elite. I think, you know what? No, I'm going to pick the Bills.
You're going Buffalo.
I am going Buffalo. I think though the Chiefs will just be unlucky. What's been happening to them? What's been happening for them will happen to them this weekend. And I think it'll be a close game, obviously, like all those games usually are. But I think Bills Mafia going to be breaking some tables before the game. They're going to be amped up. And I think Josh Allen outshines Patrick Mahomes and puts up 20 points, which I think would be enough for this game, and squeaks out a win in the regular season. But come playoff time, I will pick Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, this might be just give them the loss so they're not undefeated. And, we don't make it look like we're rigging it that much.
Yeah, exactly. Give their second star a little bump. But
yeah, we gotta give baby brother some wins too.
Yeah. Since we just spoke about 2 AFC Championship contenders, let's talk about 2 other contenders that face off this Sunday: Steelers versus Ravens. Who leads the AFC North after Sunday? I know this is a big game for you.
Huge game. Huge game. The game's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's always a tough place to play in the league.
Not for the Cowboys.
Not for the Cowboys. I mean, they've won the last 2 in Pittsburgh, so yeah, I'll give them that. Kyle Hamilton is what I think he might be a very big determining factor whether he plays or not. I know Alex Highsmith is out for Pittsburgh. That's a big blow right there. I think Kyle Hamilton can be just as big a blow to Baltimore if he doesn't play. They have the 32nd ranked passing defense with him. I don't know what they're going to look like without him. I think Pittsburgh needs to really get those deep shots going again this game because Baltimore's a lot better against the run. So you need to keep them honest so that you can run the ball like you like to do it. So I want to see those shots from Pittsburgh, and then I want to see what you've done the last 4 years. I want to see the reason why you're 7-1 against Baltimore in the last 4 years. I want to see you contain Lamar Jackson like you did Jaden Daniels a week ago, and like you have done to Lamar Jackson again the years prior. From Baltimore, I just want to see what you've been doing all year offensively. Keep that going. Don't change really much. Pittsburgh's one of the best defenses against the deep ball. There are weaknesses to them. You can run really decently well against them, in my opinion. So that's Baltimore's forte. Let's keep that going from the Ravens. And defensively, stop that passing game. You have to. You can't let them attack you deep. You got to stop those moon balls from Russ. That's what I want to see from both of those teams. And it's really going to come down to a close game again. I want to say Pittsburgh can do it. And I think I'm with bias. I don't know if that's going to impact my decision. But right now, I do think Pittsburgh comes out leading the North come Sunday night.
I disagree. I will go with the Ravens. I think, like you said, I think they'll struggle to contain Russell Wilson in that deep ball with George Pickens and stuff. But I think the Steelers are going to struggle a lot with Derrick Henry. Like you said, you guys don't have the best rush defense, and I think Derrick Henry is a man on a mission this year, like he always is. But he's playing for a contender. We saw with the Titans when he's contending, he's a different animal. And I think him, and then because with the Lamar pulling it and their misdirection, I think it'll be a close game. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Ravens squeak it out and take control because this is a must win for them. Obviously for y'all too, but for the Ravens,
I think it's a bigger must win for Pittsburgh, in my opinion, because of the schedule they have ahead of them. They have to play Baltimore again. They have to play Cincinnati twice. They have to play Cleveland twice, which, while they're not good this year, is always a tough divisional game. And then their other 2 games are the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs. There's not a lot of wins out there. In fact, there's no given wins. You're going to have to fight to earn every single win out there. So you have to get every single win and earn every single win. Then I'm looking at the Ravens schedule, and you have wins there. You have given wins. You still got to rest. So, yeah, I think they've already played their toughest game. They already played Kansas. They already played Buffalo. And they've already looked elite doing it against Buffalo. So I think the Ravens have more wins to find later on, which is why I think it's more of a must win for Pittsburgh.
Well, I think not like schedule-wise. I think just like to prove to themselves that
I also think Pittsburgh's got more to prove. Everybody's on the Ravens hype train.
No one's on the Ravens hype train.
Yeah, then you're not
I
watching.
think when it comes to like contenders, they're obviously they're one of the best teams in the AFC.
I
But
don't think there's a single person that's got Pittsburgh over Baltimore in any
No,
list.
no, they don't. But I'm just saying, like, not to prove that they're better than Pittsburgh. I feel like people think they're better than Pittsburgh. To prove that they're behind Kansas City, the favorite, or even ahead of Kansas City, the favorite in the conference.
Well, I don't think anybody. They could beat Pittsburgh 49-0, and I don't think anybody's putting them above Kansas.
No, I'm just saying, like, just to prove to themselves, not to everyone.
No.
Yeah, I think the most. I don't know. I think it's to send a message to themselves and to the public. Obviously, no one's going to put them ahead of Kansas City yet, but just to say, like, hey, they can, even though their pass defense is struggling, they can run all over someone. But anyway, Burrow versus Herbert Sunday night. Which 2020 QB will prevail?
I'm going with the 6th overall pick in that draft, winning over the 1st overall pick. The Chargers are a better team right now. They're better coached right now. And they do have the weaker quarterback right now, but the gap between the others is bigger. And I'm a really big fan of Justin Herbert, so I'm taking that. Even though if Joe Burrow's Bengals had just reversed their record or winning more games, he'd be the MVP favorite in my opinion. He's playing elite football. He's just not winning, so I got the Chargers.
Yeah, I got the Chargers as well. I think they just have a better team around Herbert, even though on paper doesn't look like they're a better team. And I think just Herbert shows. I think Herbert will have one. He hasn't had a big game this year, like a big statistical game, like throwing the ball. I think obviously they're still going to be feeding those running backs, but I think he'll have one of his best statistical games this week and remind people that he's still one of the top 5, top 6 quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I agree with that about Justin Herbert, and I'll go more into that later because I have more details on Herbert later.
Okay, perfect. Speaking of the details of later, you want to go into our fantasy explosion players for the week?
I guess it's not later. I'll just get right to it.
Yeah.
My first fantasy explosion player is Justin Herbert, currently projected around 19 points, and he's going up against the Cincinnati Bengals team that's 28th against quarterbacks fantasy-wise. I mean, just look at what Lamar did last week. He had over 41 points. He ran all over them. Not something I expect Justin Herbert to do, but he also passed all over the place. Something I could see Justin Herbert doing. And I do think he gets a good lofty amount of touchdowns, which is something the Bengals have allowed a good amount of passing touchdowns to quarterbacks this year. My second one is another AFC West guy. I got Courtland Sutton, projected 12 points. He's going up against an Atlanta defense that's averaging 35 points to the receivers this year. And they're 26th against wide receivers this year. And Sutton's gotten going over these last couple of weeks. So I'm taking Courtland Sutton to overperform his projections this week. And then my final fantasy explosion player for the week, Jameson Williams. Jaguars have the 30th passing defense and are 27th against wide receivers in fantasy. Jameson Williams is only projected 9 points. I think he can get well past that this week.
Yeah, great picks. I like the Courtland Sutton pick. He's in one of my leagues, so you need him to perform. For me, I got your boy, George Pickens, over 13 points. We saw what Jamar Chase did to the Ravens last week. George Pickens is wide receiver 1 for this team. The Ravens have an awful pass defense, like we've mentioned all the time. And with Russell Wilson, he's gone over his +5 projection 2 out of 3 times when playing with Russell Wilson. So I think George Pickens is going to have a really big game. Not a Jamar Chase 55 points type of game, but he should hit 20, 25 range. I hope he doesn't go that crazy. I am going against him, but I mean, it's just a great matchup. I got to give it out to you guys. The second guy I have is Devon Achane from A&M, my boy.
I got Achane on my teams.
Yeah. Raiders are 26th against running backs, averaging 25 points a game, and he's been getting more catches, more volume since Tua came back. Obviously, last weekend wasn't the best weekend for him, but
hey, good enough to beat you.
Yeah, the whole Dolphins team didn't really perform offensively that much last weekend, so I think Achane gets back on track against that Raiders defense and does 5 more than 17 points. And lastly, I got Kareem Hunt over 13.6. The Bills rank 31st against running backs, allowing around 30 points per game, and he's clearly a workhorse since he's been signed. So I think he'll go. I don't know if it was real or not, but I saw Pacheco might come back, or is that in the future? I think he got taken off IR or something.
I think he did. I think that's something you have to monitor. I
Yeah.
don't think he's back this week, though.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't think he's back this week, but if he does play, obviously don't play Kareem Hunt, but I don't think Pacheco's going to be back this weekend, but in the future he will. But I'll go straight into my headlines. I got the Gamecocks claim another ranked victim. Obviously I think probably the worst ranked victim there is, but they're ranked. Missouri comes into Bryce Lee Stadium and just gets absolutely rocked. And the Gamecocks dance the sandstorm and dance the night away. And then I got the Falcons soar high in the Mile High City. I think it's a 2-point spread, but I think the Falcons come in and upset the Broncos, technically because they're 2-point underdogs. I think we saw the Broncos against better teams, which I think the Falcons are, and they just don't get the job done. And I think it'll be more of the same.
Yeah, I think those are very interesting. I got with Bulldogs bounce back. I said it earlier. I think Georgia wins against Tennessee. I'm going to stick by that and make my headline Bulldogs bounce back. And like I also said earlier, Charge past the Bengals is my other headline. I think the Chargers are a very good team with a lot of momentum right now. And I love that team. I love that defense. And I love Justin Herbert.
Yep, fair play. Now let's go into our best bets of the week. I need to make up a lot of ground here, but I'm really confident in my picks this week. I got LSU -4. You're gonna say, "Oh, you bet on LSU last weekend." All right, I did, and it was awful. But this is different. All right, they're they're playing Florida this weekend. They're 5-2 against the spread versus Florida, and since 2017. And then after Brian Kelly gets blown out by 20+ points, he is 13-6 against the spread in the next game, and 3-0 with LSU after he gets blown out. And I just think Florida with their third string quarterback, we saw that second half against Georgia. We saw that whole game against Texas. I just don't believe in that offense very much, and I think LSU just 4 points is too little for me. If it was 7, I would still take it. So I think LSU beats Florida handily. And then I got the Tennessee and Georgia under 48.5. The total of the game has gone under in Tennessee's 5 out of last 6 and 8 out of last 11 road games. And then Georgia has gone under their total in 9 out of the last 13 games. Like I said, they both have elite defenses and struggling offenses, and I just think this game is going to be a close, low-scoring game, defensive game. So I'll keep it under that 48.5. And then lastly, I got Oregon -14. Oregon is going against Wisconsin. They're 7-1-1 against the spread on the road. And under Dan Lanning, they're 10-3-1 against the spread on the road. And when they're favored by 14 or more, they're 16-7 against the spread. I don't think Wisconsin's very good. I think Oregon continues to roll and beats them by 2 touchdowns. And then for the NFL, I got Detroit -13 playing Jacksonville. Jacksonville is awful. I think Detroit corrects some of their pick issues and really puts up another like Cowboys type performance or Titans type performance where they drop like 50 points. And I don't think the Jaguars can score that much, obviously. And I think they beat them by 2 touchdowns. Detroit 6-1 against the spread in their last 7, and they're 3-1 at home. So I think they'll cover this number at home with ease. And then lastly, I got a little player prop. We've all been talking
player prop.
Yeah, so many times against this awful Ravens pass defense. So why not actually throw some money on there? Russell Wilson over his 213 pass yards. He's hit it 2 out of 3 times since being back. And since they're technically underdogs, they'll technically be playing for behind a lot, and I think they'll lead to more throws. And like I said, the Ravens have an awful pass defense, so I think he'll go over this number with ease. Now let's go into yours.
So my first best bet is BYU -2.5.
I will say I was gonna give this one out, but I opted not to. But it's a good play.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at it, I wanted to do both the Oregon and LSU one, but you'd already put it on the script before me, so I couldn't do it. I got BYU. They have only one loss against the spread at home, and it was over a touchdown at -8. Plus, they are also perfect under a TD at home, so I love that. And Kansas is also 3-6 against the spread this year. So I got BYU -2.5. And my NFL bet this week is I have the Steelers at +3. The Steelers are undefeated against the spread as the underdog this year, as well as last year the Ravens opened up as 3-point favorites against Pittsburgh twice and lost twice.
All right. I would say since we both kind of agree on 3 bets, the one time we agreed it did hit. So if you guys just want to take those 3, it's 100% hit rate right now, 1 of 1. Yeah. So I would tell all of them, but if you just want to be cautious, I would tell those 3 because when we are in agreement, it hits at 100% hit rate. I'm just pulling it out there, guys. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode of House Divided. Stay tuned for Tuesday for our reactions of some of these games we talked about and maybe other surprises that come along the way. But thank you, like and subscribe, and remember, drop that comment about the punishment in the last video so we can figure this out and see what the loser has to do. Thank you.